for a call that, it should have been a flagrant one. He shouldn't have done what he did, but to throw him out of the game, to me, that was an egregious call. And what's your point, more or less, is the inconsistency in which they call fouls on each end. So one end, you can run in, I can dribble the ball and just run into you, and then I go to the free throw line and make 2 points. On the other end, they're slapping arms, they're physical. If you watch the Grand Canyon versus Alabama game, there were some tackles going on in there. And I'm like, there's no hand checking being called anymore. That's hugely important for an offensive player to be able to get by a guy. If I can put my hand on your hip, and the official may not be able to see that, but I can keep you right in front of me if I got my hand on your hip. That should be called every single time, and that hurts offensive basketball. So it's just the inconsistency of the officials. I will say this. Auburn was up, I think, 8-10 with about 8 to 10 minutes left, and they just seemed like they did gas. They missed a lot of free throws down the stretch. They made some plays that, were uncharacteristic. To me, they were the most surprising team that had the early exit. I've seen some deficiency in Kentucky. I've seen some deficiency in Florida's defense, but Auburn seemed to buy in, and Bruce Pearl's a good coach in the tournament. That was the most shocking of the SEC teams that exited early. I thought they could make at least an Elite Eight run.
And as a coaching, the main thing you want officials is consistency.
Exactly.
Like if they're going to let them foul on both ends.
Right.
Don't change from one half to the next half. That was what used to irritate me. If they want to beat them up, both teams let them beat them up.
I think too much they officiate for entertainment purposes to keep the game close, maybe keep the Cinderella going. And I'm like, that's not basketball. That's not a true sport. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's a little bit manipulating the outcome of the game.
And I wouldn't coach basketball for all the money. I don't care what it is. It's a hard sport to coach. I mean,
it's hard.
It's hard officiating. I officiated some summer league games just when I was coaching with Coach Anderson. I got cussed out so many times, and I was like, this is summer league, it was a travel. And I was like, it might have been, but we're in the summer league. And they cussed me up and down. That's when I was like, I'm never officiating again. But it's hard because you get little slaps. You can't call every little touch foul. I mean, it's so fast-paced. These athletes are so good nowadays. That is the toughest sport to officiate.
I know from when I used to coach to now, like you talking about touching, if you touched a player back when I coached, it was a foul.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't put your hand, and we told the kids, don't put your hands on them.
Right.
And now they do it all the time.
That's commonplace now.
It's just commonplace.
And it's having an impact because Auburn's guard, K.D. Johnson, has already entered the portal.
Oh, wow.
So that news broke yesterday as Auburn moves into the postseason and the portal and recruitment. And the Tigers finish a very solid year, 27-8, SEC tournament champions, but not the run that they had hoped for. And I really thought that team was built to make a run. But I think the tournament, the draw, the travel, created a situation that was just hard to overcome.
And even that early foul that really changed the dynamic of their lineup, and that hurt them with depth after, running in through the SEC. That really hurt them pretty bad.
Yeah. What kind of committee decides, is it just NCAA, or they have the basketball committee that decides where you're going to go? To me, that's asinine. Why? You're in Auburn, you go to Spokane? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Absolutely
Especially
crazy.
as an SEC champion and a higher seed. It'd be different if they were barely got in, they're a 10 seed, but, they were a high seed.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more about that when we come back. We're starting to pick up the Sweet 16 and have these discussions. This has been your Auburn update. I want to give a shout out to Chuck Tucker at South Oak Title and Closing for all of your real estate needs. Give them a call. They'll make that closing process smooth for you and your transactions that you have with real estate here. Chuck Tucker, South Oak Title and Closing. We'll be right back on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN 104.3, Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
As far as pitch counts apply if he's switching arms.
I don't know. I control with one arm.
Yeah.
But
does Florida teach driver's ed down there?
Well, Florida does. In Georgia, there seems to be
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's time for a new kitchen from Kitchen Designs. Join Kitchen Designs at the BBIA Great American Home and Recreation Expo, April 5th and 6th from 9 to 5 at the Bay County Fairgrounds. For full-service cabinets, countertops, and flooring, come see them at the Home Show or visit their 2 convenient showrooms, 7934 Front Beach Road and on Lynn Drive in Santa Rosa Beach. Come see it all at the Home Show, April 5th and 6th. They can't wait to meet you.
Hello, Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Hey, it's March Madness out there, and Stormore's got March Madness going on with a 10% discount through the month of March for both new buildings on the lot as well as built buildings. And I want to remind you, perfect time to get that pool house or that quilting room. Come see me, Rick at RV of Panama City, the local Stormore portable building dealer, 2241 East Baldwin Road.
Living on the Gulf Coast, we have beautiful beaches, clear water, and amazing marine life. Want to bring a piece of the ocean into your home or office with an amazing aquarium? Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pets, the area's only certified Platinum CChem dealer. Their staff are all certified CChem specialists. They can install, design, maintain, and finance your own piece of the Gulf. Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pets has moved to 1366 West 15th Street in the Panama Plaza Shopping Center. Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pets, where it's more than just a tank.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The tradition continues.
Lots of force on this one. Hello, Chop House. A 2-run homer.
Now back to the Coach James Hale Show inside the J. Michaels studio.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back here on the ESPN 104.3, the Coach James Hale Show. Jeremy Pridgeon and Jason Kovaleski, Tommy St. Amant in. Coach Hale is out today, so we're grateful to sit in for him as he's away. I've been talking a lot of March Madness, going to continue to do so as the tournament resumes tonight. So how are your brackets doing?
They're doing pretty good. I picked a couple of upsets, but it's been wild.
Been wild.
Yeah.
How about you, Tommy?
I hadn't missed a one yet.
Haven't missed a one. Still
He's that
perfect.
1% guy.
Still
I hadn't even done it.
I
don't have a TV to watch it.
Wildcat, you ain't got one right.
But I've got my 5-4.
You had the Kentucky one right. You told us before the tournament they were going to bow out early.
That's right, yeah.
So we got to give him credit for that one.
But then.
Well, they went. You know, we picked brackets the first time in our family as a whole family this time.
That's fun.
So I've got the 5-year-old, and I said, we're going to pick our brackets, Jordan. And he's like, that's great. What's a bracket?
That's funny.
So we go through, and I'm showing him the teams. And, of course, you know, people have all kinds of reasons for why they pick what they pick. He wanted to pick based on whether or not he liked the mascot. So he loved the Dragon of UAB, so he had them to the Final Four.
Oh, wow.
Didn't go well.
Sometimes that's not such a bad idea.
No. So I think he's got 11% correct. and my daughter, Addison, she picked 26 of 32 correct in the first round, and then it went off a cliff in the 16th. So she was sitting like 17,000th, in the whole nation there. So we had fun with it, and I know everybody, looking at their brackets to see what's still standing. I have to say, I'm very proud. I have all of my Elite Eight, all of my 4 still intact. I think it was 14 of 16. It's a very strong bracket here, going in, but we'll see what happens.
A lot of favorites moved on. I think it's been pretty much chalk outside a couple like NC State.
Yeah, you don't have the Cinderella story.
Right.
We talked through the morning about what it means to have the Oaklands and the Florida Atlantics and what have you. And, the piece that we didn't mention that I think is important, and we'll start picking some of these here in a minute, but you think of the exposure that a George Mason got several years ago, or a Florida Atlantic.
Right.
They cannot pay for that type of advertising to promote their school.
Yeah.
And there's enough research to show the bump that these schools get off the athletic success from the applications. Because people want to be with the winner.
Right.
And so you may not be qualifying for the Yales or the Harvards or even the top Power 5, but here comes a school out of nowhere like Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, hadn't thought about them.
Right.
And you wouldn't have thought about them, save the fact they're playing in the NCAA tournament.
Well, you want to go be with the winner.
Be with the winner.
Look at the Alabama enrollment when under Saban, what he's done for that school. Florida under, Spurrier, Urban Meyer. I mean, the Ohio States of the world.
So if you eliminate these automatic qualifiers from these places, then it also has that impact down the line.
That hurts them overall.
Because we'll still, for years, talk about how, those schools were able to be able to crack the, 8, the 4 even on occasion. So, all right. So, Sweet 16, 4 games tonight. The West region and the East region kick things back off, and we'll start in the East here. 2 contrasting styles of ball are going to be played, and it looks like we're kind of on a collision course with our ones if they hold, but save some of that for just a moment. But I'm going to start first with UConn and the Aztecs of San Diego State. San Diego State defeated the Yale team that beat Auburn, as we talked about in the last segment. Who do you guys like in the 1-5 game, UConn versus San Diego State?
UConn.
Yeah, I think UConn's defense, to me, there's 3 teams that play defense on a different level than anybody in the country. It's UConn, Houston, and Purdue. So to me, that always travels. It doesn't matter nerves if you're making baskets. And UConn, the way they're structured, the way the success they've had, their coaching, to me, is on a different level. I see them getting through this pretty easily, to be honest.
Okay, so we've got UConn advancing in that game against San Diego State. I will say, and Alabama played San Diego State, got eliminated last year by them. They play a very physical ball game. And, going back to the officiating, if they're sitting there biting their whistles all night, San Diego State's got UConn right where they want them in a street fight. So, close ball game, but I do think UConn pulls this out. The other game in the East, intriguing matchup. Iowa State out of the Big 12, the 2 seed, versus Illinois. Who do you have?
Iowa State's a good basketball team. So is Illinois. I've seen more of Illinois this year. They got a kid, the lefty. I think his name's Shannon something. I forget his name right now, but I think he can take over a game. I like Illinois' defense a little bit better. I do think Iowa State has a little bit trouble scoring the basketball, and I think Illinois has a little bit more pace to the game. So I got Illinois in this game, but this is going to be a tight game from start to finish.
All right, so you've got Illinois here. All right, Tommy, who you got?
Iowa State.
You got Iowa State here, so you're going to go with the Cyclones. And
Iowa State's favored in that game. I think it's like a 1.5 point difference, so tight ball game.
Yeah,
it's going to be close.
Yeah,
that one is pretty much a toss-up here. I mean, this is the kind of one and done. As we will see,
a turnover could decide that game.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I think this we're going to be in for a treat with that one. So I'm going to take the Illini here and set up the UConn Illinois game. Moving over to the West, the surprise may be Clemson defeated Baylor to win the 3-6 game. Their reward. Arizona. But Arizona, Clemson, I've got the Wildcats, and I think Cinderella's run, if we can call that, for Clemson, comes to an end.
I agree.
I was really impressed with Clemson, though. Their front line's really good. They got a couple kids that can score inside, but Arizona's a different animal altogether. They got NBA talent, across the board. So I like Arizona in this game. But I do think Clemson's going to give them some trouble. I think it's close for, 3/4 of the game, but I think Arizona pulls away late.
Okay, so we got all in agreement on the Wildcats. We've just deviated one time so far with the Cyclones and the Illini. The other game out west, the Alabama Crimson Tide, who survived a rugby scrum.
A football game.
A football game against Grand Canyon University. Now, I don't know why they were called the Antelopes. I'd have called them the Rocks.
Right.
And it was It was a game that set basketball back 20 years. Charles Barkley called it the dumbest game of basketball he had ever seen.
Right.
An absolute epic rant. If you've not seen it, it's worth going out and listen because, and I mean, a couple of times it could have been a felonious assault.
Right.
But you just played on. So Alabama survived. They stayed out west. They did not come back to Tuscaloosa to go back out to L.A., so they went from Spokane down to Los Angeles. Their reward, the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Great reward.
Yeah.
Great reward. I've got a head pick and a heart pick here, and the head pick says Tar Heels. That they're just a more complete team. I've watched North Carolina a couple of times. They've absolutely dominated, the ACC, which is a cut above everybody else. And if you're looking at the SEC for quality basketball, I think our first round results said maybe we're a little overrated.
Right. At least on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, offensively.
It'll be a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
Alabama has a shot, just in the sense that if Mark Sears gets hot from three-point land, and if they can play as physical as they did against Grand Canyon, then they've got the making. So, what impressed me, if you watch the North Carolina-Michigan State game, Michigan State came out and hit them in the mouth.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, Izzo's got them ready.
Yep.
And at the 10-minute mark, it was like North Carolina threw a switch.
Right.
And it was over.
And it was defensively. And I think that's where the game right here is going to be won or lost. I think if Alabama can play the style of defense they played against Grand Canyon with that type of effort for 40 minutes, that they can win this game. Unfortunately, I haven't seen that consistently throughout the year for Alabama. I think if you bring their bigs away from the basket, put them in a pick and roll, they have a lot of trouble with rotations and stuff like that. And I think North Carolina is built to do that to them. I think this game's going to be like an 89-85 game. I do think Alabama will hang with them just because of their scoring ability. But I do have North Carolina moving on in a close ball game.
All right.
North Carolina, too.
Yeah, North Carolina. Well, we're going to deal with the Midwest and the South when we get back from the break, and then we'll give you your final four picks as we move to the last segment here on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN 104.3. We want to give a shout-out to Dr. Ward, and this time of year, people getting back out in the sun. As Coach Hale says, if you see something doesn't feel right, doesn't look right, go see Dr. Ward, his fine staff all across Northwest Florida to help you with all your dermatology needs. Also, if you're looking for a place to watch some ball this weekend, Beef O'Brady's is your place to go and get a fine meal. They'll have the screens on, and you can watch some of these Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games, Beef O'Brady's. And we'll be right back, last segment of the morning on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida is taking you on the ultimate road trip to see the Orlando Magic. It's the Hall & Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida Magic Express. We're taking a busload of ESPN listeners and driving them to see the Orlando Magic play the Chicago Bulls Sunday, April 7th. You'll watch all the action from a presidential suite. For your chance to win, open the ESPN Northwest Florida app and click Enter Contest. Sponsored by Hall & Hearts and PCB Hobby.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Thursday morning. As we head into this afternoon and evening, sunshine and a high of 71 with a moderate breeze at 15 miles per hour out of the north. For tonight, clear skies with a light breeze and a low near 52. Tomorrow, wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunny and a high around 69. For Saturday, mostly sunshine and a high of 71. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
So you've heard the saying that if you love your job, you'll never have to work? Well, it's true.
I've worked for Brock Lawn and Pest Control for many years. The commitment to the needs of customers
and their commitment to each employee makes Brock a company I'm very proud to be a part of.
Brock's core values are also mine. Give people more than they expect and always honor your promises.
This isn't a job. It's a service to help people live a healthier lifestyle.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control. Our family protecting your family.
Hello, Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Hey, it's March Madness out there, and Stormore's got March Madness going on with a 10% discount through the month of March for both new buildings on the lot as well as built buildings. And I want to remind you, perfect time to get that pool house or that quilting room. Come see me, Rick, at RV of Panama City, the local Stormore portable building dealer, 2241 East Baldwin Road.
You don't know what his problem is. But it's probably hard to pronounce and untreatable.
That don't feel so good.
The Coach James Hale Show is live and local from the J. Michaels Studio, ESPN Northwest Florida.
My pappy said, son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln.
And we are back for our last segment on the Coach James Hale Show, ESPN 104.3. Jeremy Pridgeon, Tommy St. Amant.